So just 2 words in Hebrew before we get going with the presentation. לרצות, להעז, להמריא, לעוף. בעיניי זה הדברים הכי חשובים, לחשוב עליהם, לרצות אותם ולעשות אותם בחייכם. So, for me, at the end of the day, it all comes back to where we begin from. I was born 43 and 2 months years ago in England, and I grew up in the south of France. I grew up in Monte Carlo, a very atypical childhood that is absolutely nothing you think of and everything you can't imagine. Early memories of mine, and this was a very fond moment in my life, is wanting to go out on a bicycle. All of us ride our bikes. It's a symbol of freedom. It's a symbol of childhood. For me, riding my bike meant taking my bicycle from the back of the apartment and going down in the service elevator, crossing the street delicately at the zebra crossing, going down the marble elevator shaft, crossing the tunnel, coming out of the other side, going down the hill, all this, of course, with a guidance, and then coming to this round circular after about 25 minutes walk where I was allowed to ride my bike. When I finished riding my bicycle and had a nice cold drink, I'd then walk my bicycle back. Now, to some of us, that's a really strange situation because that is ultimately a box. We all live and start our lives in confines. It's different kinds of confines. It's different boundaries. Everyone views them differently. But what's important to understand, we all come from different confines in our life. These are comfort zones. These are what we believe in. This is what we lean on as we spend our days and go through our life. But what about those that want to come out of these confines and break the box? That is the moment in life when you are actually starting to dare. A box is a comfort zone. A box is guidelines. A box is what we know. But at the end of the day, it's about daring and taking opportunities to go to the next level. So as I mentioned, I had this unique childhood. I loved my childhood, just don't get me wrong. It definitely defined a lot of my character. But I remember a very special moment when I was 8 years old. When I was 8 years old, I knew what I wanted. I wanted to try something new, and I wanted to go to boarding school. To many of us, that sounds pretty crazy. Why does an 8-year-old want to make such a difference? But I wanted to try something new. My confine had been too narrow for me, so I wanted to do something else. What is important with wanting, before you dare, is knowing what you want, because you have to have a clear idea in mind. If you want something new, if you want something different, that is fine. But that is an understanding that you are embarking upon something that is going to take you out of your box. So at 8 years old, I went to boarding school for a year, and that was an amazing experience in itself. For those of you that have read Harry Potter, it wasn't quite like that, but it did have many similarities. But if we fast forward a little bit with my life, when I was 20, I did another stage in my career, and I had finished the army, which is something you do naturally here in Israel, and I had been interviewing to be an executive assistant. Remember, I'm 20 years old. I've not yet started my life. And as part of the interview, this great gentleman came up to me with a piece of paper. And that piece of paper was all in Hebrew, and the first test that I was given was, translate this, please. Fine. I don't know if any of you have been yet in administrative roles. It's a natural role, that first test in the job. And I spent the next 15 minutes manually, remember, I'm a little bit older than some of you, manually translating the document. This gentleman comes back into the room with a felt-tip pen at the end to test me. And of course, everything was ticked perfectly because I'm a natural English speaker. But then, when he nodded his head, I took the pen from him. And I said, if I may be so bold, I would do this differently. I'm 20, remember? I've been a week in my career. And I rewrote his document. I said, that should be the heading, that should be the footer. And to be quite honest, this is a bit boring. I would snazzy this up. Now, I remember that his only comment to me was, but I have a Harvard MBA. And I turned around to him and I just smiled because I didn't know differently. I was trying to make a difference. Well, fast forward a week, I of course had the job. But what I'm trying to get at here with you is when you're given an opportunity, every step of your life is ultimately an opportunity. So grasp it. 6 months later, I already had a different boss. And I remember he gave me this document and I had typed it all up nicely for him in English, a little bit of linguistic corrections, a bit of grammar. And I came to him and I gave him his document back. And he nodded and he was very happy with the document. But then I went like this and I gave him a second document. And I said, your document is fantastic, but this is how I would have done it. What's changed was before I was recommending, now I'm being proactive. I'm taking the initiative and I am, in essence, creating my own future. What is important to understand from all of this is that everything that you are going to do in life is actually going to be an opportunity. A few years forward, I was on maternity leave. I have 2 fantastic children. And I came into the office, as many of us do as mothers, to show off our children to our peers. By now, I think I was already more senior in the investment world. And the CEO called me into the room and said to me, I want to promote you to be vice president. When you come back, when you're more than ready, you will be a vice president of our firm and I want to give you a new position. Now, there's a lot of great stories behind that in itself, but the basic point is I needed to go home and decide how to take control of my future, because at the end of the day, when you're on maternity leave, you are at a form of intersection. And I took that position. Not only that, I also went on and did my MBA at night while during the day continuing my job. So that's another point that I'd like to be taken away here is, along the way, you're going to reach many junctions that your mind and your heart are going to speak in totally contradicting fashion. I personally am a huge believer that your instinct is always right. Your first decision with regards to any step of the road that you're going to take along the way is actually probably going to be the most correct one. And if it's not, you can change. No decision is not reversible, especially in today's society. It's a world of opportunities, so you need to grasp it to the maximum. Today, I love talking about soaring because at the end of the day, it's about enjoying what you're doing. It's about taking that initiative, following it through, and when you're not feeling you're riding high, then that is the exact moment that you need to move on. But what is the most important part of soaring? It's the people you soar with. As you move up your path in life, you are going to be surrounded by people. At the end of the day, it's about the people that you ride with and choose as your running mates. They're going to define a large part of what you're going to become. They're going to define who you're going to be, and they're going to define your success. When you start a position in life, you have a business card. The business card has a title upon it. The more you change the boundaries of that role, expand and grow it, then you will become even more. But an even more important point, which comes now to soaring, is every time you meet someone, take a moment and think, what can I do for that person? Instead of moving forwards with your hand and saying, what can I take from him? If you move into a relationship, a new interaction, or a new contact, from the place of, I want to be part of this, I want to help you, that when that person in years to come needs to reach back out and you need to ask him something, he will always want to help. It is always better for someone to be indebted to you rather than you being indebted to someone. So at the end of the day, choose some amazing running mates, even some funny ones on this visual that my dear friend Lily pulled together for me. And the running mates are those that are going to make you the success you aim to be. I love this picture because this is a picture of some entrepreneurs around a bar at an event that we recently hosted. All these people decided to make a decision. They came out the box. They had decided what they wanted. They dared coming out of that comfort zone. They most probably failed. They came back into their comfort zone and started the whole cycle again. And they are on their way to becoming some of the most dynamic entrepreneurs out there. An entrepreneur is not someone in a box. It's someone that pushed his way out of it and is leading a future. And as I said, it's also about the team you build around you. It's about the people that work together on the way to helping you go soar. Thank you.